Well, it's said happiness is not an emotion, but rather a state of being. And it's also said, or probably we've heard many a times, that for every minute you are upset or angry, you lose about 60 seconds of happiness. And happiness is a wonderful topic to talk about any day, of course, right? But I brought this up today on this episode because in about a few days from now, there's a day that's dedicated and is celebrated as International Day of Happiness. And well, talking about happiness, how do you find happiness? I mean, is it around us? How can you be in that state of being? Now, to have that answered, who better than an expert can give us a good understanding, right? So here I am with an internationally renowned leadership advisor, a happiness strategist, motivational speaker, and a master behavioral trainer who was awarded at the UK Parliament. In fact, he comes with over 30 years of experience and he has coached executives for more than 300 companies. Here I am with Avinash Ananda, who's also known as the Leadership and Happiness Guru. First of all, it's a pleasure to have you with us on our show today. Avinash, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jude, with such a wonderful introduction like that. I wonder who you're talking about sometimes. Makes me feel like reintroducing myself.
It's a privilege to have you here. I mean, we're quite honored because so many executives out there that you've trained. I mean, you brought about smiles in a lot of people's lives, brought about changes. And I think you are the apt person to find out about this state of well-being or state of being, happiness. I first want to start off with your perspective, Avinash. What is your definition of happiness? Is it different for everybody?
It is, no? Happiness is different for everybody from the point of view that it is subjective. So different people get their happiness from different things, right? That we know. However, I found that over the last 30 years, traveling all over the world and meeting people from different cultures, different backgrounds, and different levels of seniority, I found that essentially people are the same. At a very basic level, like for example, everybody has fears. No? Poor person may have fear that where is his next meal going to come from, but a rich person will have fear that somebody will take away his money. Human emotions are a reality, no? And we got to deal with them. So if you're talking about definition, generally I don't like to define things because when you define something, you confine it to that definition. No? However, it's important to define because then we know what we're talking about. I would define happiness as alignment. If you want a more specific definition, happiness would be the self-generated, sustainable, positive energy of alignment that helps one to navigate through the challenges of life and to thrive, to flourish. So I'm not talking about happiness as a running away to the Himalayas, no, or to take a break. As my sister, she's a psychotherapist. So she puts it beautifully. She says, take a break before you break. Because some of us have so many of these stresses and we're going on and on and on. We need to take a little break. But happiness is not just about that. Happiness is about having the capability, having the positive energy to actually deal with the challenges of life. How to be happy despite having a boss. How to be happy despite having a job. How to be happy despite having a spouse. Being a lotus in the muddy pond is what we're looking for. That's the way I look at happiness. So I'm not looking at happiness as running away or taking a break only, but happiness as developing the mindsets, the skill sets, and the tool sets to be able to handle and face and overcome challenges. So first of all, let's look at this. Harmony or alignment is happiness. So the key ingredient, if you were to put one ingredient to it, I would say it is get into alignment with yourself. Now, what kind of alignment are we talking about? I'm saying 3 types of alignment: will, skill, and thrill. Will is about aligning your values to your vision. See, even goals that people set are usually borrowed or they're conditioned. Think about it, Jude. If you look at many goals that people have, they're taken from other people's goals. You look at social media, people look at other people. Everybody's supposed to be looking happy there. No? Even if they're not happy, they put on a show and they make themselves look happy. Then other people feel sad when they see these people happy, which may not even be true. So the objectives that you take up for your life also have to be aligned with who you are. You got to work with your talents. You got to work with your values and align your vision to your values. That's will. Then the skill is, now that you know what your vision is, you know what your goals are, do you have the capability of achieving it? So you got to work on yourself. Align your capabilities to your vision. So align your values to your vision, align your vision to your capabilities. And the third one, which I call thrill, or sometimes I like to call chill, is align your action to your capabilities. Very often, many of us have great potential, but we don't take the action required. In today's day where most people are running after success, but that success comes at a very high price, and the price is strength. Can we not enjoy success with happiness? That is the mission.
All right. So you said will, skill, and thrill, right? I think that was very well explained. You've mentored so many people out there. How did you personally develop an approach to finding happiness?
Just happened. No, it's so interesting because happiness, the word, it comes from a Latin root called happenstance. Huh? Now, happenstance means it just happens. Okay, so most people feel that happiness just happens. You really can't do much about it. But strangely enough, all my life's work has been to prove the opposite, and which works. Huh? But in my life, most things just happened. At the age of 10, I met my mentor. I was 10 years old. My father took me to all of these corporate seminars because he was a corporate guy. And I met this gentleman who enamored me. I went to the seminar, and this corporate seminar. I went up to him sheepishly and told him, in the break, I said, "Uncle, I want to be like you." So he said, let's wait for a month and see if the feeling lasts. Because after every seminar, people get excited, So, and then you can work to be like me, huh? So I said, I want to travel all over the world. I want to give these talks. I want to make a difference to people's lives. So this lasted 30 years. He mentored me for 30 years. At the age of 17, I conducted my first training program. And to cut a long story short, I reached a stage where I was traveling into countries in Europe where from the airport, I could see these big billboards. Avinash Ananda, leadership, happiness guru, with my picture there. And I had 2,000-3,000 people, 5,000 people in front of me doing these motivational programs. So my ego was satisfied, Then I asked myself, I said, what can I do to really make a difference? Because motivation is okay. Zig Ziglar says motivation is like having a bath. You need to do it every day. I said, what is it that can make this happiness sustainable? What can make it last? Because every time you need motivation, you go to some other, you read some book, you go for, you do something else, and then again it goes away. Can we make it sustainable? So that began my journey of research. And that's where I tied hands with my sister I mentioned to you earlier, the psychotherapist. She's an instructional designer, an educationist. So we put some academic rigor around what I do. We did a research with about 450 different sources. Plus, by that time, I was traveling 15 days in the east, 15 days in the western part of the world. And I found that whenever I went to the west, they were asking me more about spirituality in India and what is the philosophy of Advaita, things like that. And whenever I came to the East, they were asking me more about how does business work in the US? How can we grow our business and earning dollars? So each one wants what they don't have. So that's where came the whole concept of alignment. We studied different sources, including Vipassana meditation, Zen meditation, Advaita philosophy, and from the East, and also neurosciences, positive psychology, behavioral economics, and a lot of latest stuff in leadership from the West, blended it all together and created a system called Meta-Mind Alignment, which is a system for sustainable happiness to be installed in the minds of people, whether individuals, families, organizations. We've been doing it for 30 years. It's working. Something's happening good.
Wonderful to hear. Very interesting. And everybody's looking for that happiness from outside, or probably we are searching for that. And we always want this happiness to last, right? How is this sustained? What should we do, Avinash? Could you share with us certain habits or mindsets that one person can cultivate to promote happiness and that well-being?
Sure. What we've done is we've identified 10 meta skills. Think of it as a quiver full of arrows. If you're going into the battlefield, and life sometimes seems like one, you need to have the tools, you need to have the weapons to be able to at least protect yourself or move forward. So there are 10 topics that we've identified, which are a combination of mindset and skill set. And 5 are for the inner world and 5 are for the outer world. See, all of us have an inner world. All of us have an outer world, right? Our inner world is our mind. Our outer world would be dealing with people outside. And in both areas, we need to make some decisions. Because when we make decisions, we get results. And most of us make very poor decisions. And one of the reasons we make poor decisions is because our mind is quite messed up. From all the research that I did and from all the studies that we did, we found that the conscious mind is where we are aware of our thoughts and feelings. Subconscious mind is where our pre-programmed beliefs, our prejudices are all there. And the subconscious is what drives the conscious mind. So very often we do things because of our belief system. So for example, Jude, you have this, our well-meaning parents, research suggests, or caregivers, they tell us a minimum 148,000 times in our growing up stage, negative things about ourselves. Because parents don't get certificate to become parents. There's no degree for that, right? For example, parent will say, why don't you study well like your neighbor? Why don't you do this? Why you always sleeping and not doing something? So there's so much of negativity programmed into kids that by the time they grow up, and then they're told, why are you not confident? I mean, come on, how can you be confident if you're filled with all this stuff? We have a lot of pre-programmed beliefs which are outside our control, which are in our subconscious mind. And these beliefs are not necessarily true, and they're disempowering. So the subconscious mind is messed up. If the conscious mind has these glitches in the software, which are cognitive biases, if the subconscious mind is messed up because it's been programmed, then where the hell where do we go? Because our mind itself is messed up. So that's where we found that we have a new mind. Each one of us has a new mind. All we got to do is activate that mind. It's called the meta-conscious mind or the meta mind, which is activated by three things. This is answering your question. Number one is objectivity. Most of us fool ourselves. We need to stop fooling ourselves. Face reality, but at the same time be positive and optimistic about it. So in the objectivity part, Jude, get out of it for some time and look at it from the outside. Look at things a little objectively, a little dispassionately, a little detached, so that you're able to deal with things a little better. This would be the first part, objectivity. The second one would be ownership. Don't be so objective that you become a spectator of life. Play the game of life. Get into the arena. Face the failures. Learn from them. Pick yourself up. Move on again. Take charge. That's ownership. Now, most people don't take ownership. They do the opposite, which is blame. There are three things we should stop: criticizing, comparing, and complaining. Criticizing, comparing, complaining. If we stop this, we got the second thing, ownership. If you ask anybody, they will blame God, they will blame society, they will blame politics, they will blame this. They don't take charge. The third point is omni-love. Omni-love is extend your sense of self to include others. Be more inclusive. So having that sense of including other people too in whatever you're doing. Don't let your happiness be selfish. Make it contributive. To do these three things, I think your meta mind is activated, and then even with a messed up mind, we can live happily through life. I'm not talking about ideals, solving everything. I'm talking about making new decisions with objectivity, ownership, and omni-love.
Omni-love. I really love that word. Thank you so much. We would love to continue to talk about happiness. Avinash, we're going to come back to you. I have more interesting questions. Thank you so much.
Look forward.
TS Techie Talkie. Keep listening, keep grooving, keep celebrating. Dial, dedicate and discuss on Techie Talkie.
Hello and welcome back, and let's continue our conversation with Avinash Ananda. He is an internationally renowned leadership advisor, happiness strategist, motivational speaker. He's also known as the Leadership and Happiness Guru. In fact, if you heard our previous show, I'm sure you know that he's given us some very insightful thoughts about happiness, meaning of being happy in true sense. Avinash, on our previous show, you gave us a clarity about happiness. Plus, you also spoke to us about a few of the habits that one can cultivate to promote happiness and well-being. Moving on, Avinash, we'd like to know about how happiness can be measured. Is that possible? How do you measure progress on the journey to happiness, Avinash?
The simple way is this: if you draw a circle, each one of you, if you draw a circle and you draw 6 spokes coming out from the center of the circle. Now, 3 of them represent your inner world and 3 of them represent your outer world. Each one of us has inner world and outer world. The inner world is mind, body, spirit.
Yes.
The outer world is work, love, money. Now again, I repeat this in more technical terms for those of you who don't like it simple. Mind, body, spirit could be psychological, physiological, spiritual. This is your inner world. Outer world is work, love, money. Work is professional, love could be social or relationships, and money could be material or financial. Each one of us has these 6 areas in life. We cannot ignore any of these 6 areas. What happens to people is when they get excited about happiness is they get lopsided. If you go after just the money part of your life or the professional part of your life, and I'm not saying both are the same. You could be in a profession yet not be making much money. Okay? There's people who make lots of money who are not in any much, who are not very successful professionally. Similarly, you could earn a lot of money and mess up your health or ignore your relationships. So if you ignore any of these 6, they're going to come back and bite you. So it's good to have all these 6 tracks moving at the same time, with you changing your focus to whichever one that's required at that time, like a DJ, creating your own music and harmony. That's your rhythm of life. So the way to measure your progress is give yourself a rating. Now and then, I would say once in a month would be good. Once in 2 months is also okay. Give yourself a rating from 0 to 10 on each of these areas. How happy are you in each of these areas? How happy are you psychologically? How happy are you with your mind? How happy are you with your relationships? How happy are you with your health? 0 to 10. If the number is lower than 5 or 5, you need to work at it. You need to set your smartest goals in those areas. You need to do something, because just talking about happiness or thinking about happiness or just maintaining a gratitude journal or listening to motivational lectures is not going to make you happy. You got to make the decisions. Get up and do something and make decisions that will shift your mind and shift your life. Sometimes you need to get out of situations. Sometimes the environment is not right for you. So It's not just about the mind. It begins with the mind. It happens in the mind. But happiness is not just a state of mind. Otherwise it will be temporary. Happiness is a way of being. And to make it a way of being, you need to reflect and continuously work on alignment. So this is one way to measure the progress.
All right. I think it could not have been put across any better than this, Avinash. Thank you so much for that one. Now, everybody looks for things to happen, in a jiffy, right? I want immediate results. What concrete actions can we take, say, in the next few weeks or probably even few months to move towards happiness?
Sure. See, I run these weekend retreats, and they're usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they go on, and they're very experiential. So you're absolutely right. It's very difficult to give quick fix tips. But since I'm asked that so much, we created some. So we call them techniques which are applicable and usable even if you don't do anything else after now. For example, I'll give you something very powerful right now. It's a meta-mind technique. Meta-mind alignment is a science of leadership and happiness that was created by Varsha and me. The technique is called transpection. Transpection is a word that we coined, which is a combination of transform and perspective. So transform the perspective of a situation without changing the situation from negative to positive. This is transpection. How do you transform the perspective from negative to positive without changing the situation? Which means you're living with somebody, you're not going to leave the person, but you got to transform the way you see the person. Can you do that in your mind? Answer is yes. Everybody says be positive, be positive. Come on. It's other than a blood group. How do you be positive? This is what nobody teaches, and that's where meta-mind alignment comes in. I'm going to give you a very specific thing to do, which you can do over the next 2 or 3 weeks to make yourself okay when you're not okay. Without any, referring back to this talk or listening to someone else or reading a book. No, just remember what I'm sharing with you right now, please, and implement it. If you don't implement it, it's not going to work. How do you use transpection? Questions direct the attention of the mind. See, the mind needs to be in our control. The biggest problem is there's a Sanskrit saying, which when translated into English, it goes like this, and the mind is like a drunken monkey bitten by a scorpion. It's like all over the place. Imagine a drunken monkey bitten by a scorpion, right? Absolutely out of control. Most people's minds are like that. We talk about leadership, we talk about big things in life. Can we even control our mind? how do you control your mind? How do you direct your thoughts? Because our thoughts keep coming. How do you control it? One powerful way of controlling the mind is to ask yourself better questions. Suppose you have somebody in your life who left you at some point of time and you felt that he or she would never leave you, but that person left you. Okay? Immediately after that, you speak to yourself. What is the question we generally ask? Why me? Then the mind will give an answer because you're an idiot. You deserved it. Huh? Mind has a tendency to answer every question you ask it. So why not you ask yourself better questions? What are the questions you can ask yourself when things will go wrong? Because things will often do. Will often go wrong. Huh? Ask yourself 3 power meta-mind questions. And I would suggest you write this down, please. Those of you who are listening, I'm sure it'll help you. Trust me, just do it. It's not about even trusting me. Just do it and you'll see that it works. First question is, what's good about this? No matter what the situation, ask yourself, what's good about this? It may be all dark, but there may be a silver lining. You will tend to focus on that. Second question is, what can I learn from this? Always something to learn. And third question is, what should I do next? These are 3 powerful questions which, if you ask yourself, when things are wrong, as they go wrong, not waiting till later. Everybody feels better later. Even if something terrible happens 1 year down the line, you'll feel a little better about it. Huh? Can you feel better at that time? Can you make yourself feel better? Can you direct the attention of your mind from negative to positive? What's good about this? Let's say somebody left you, right? I said, what's good about this? Thank God he or she left now. Later would have been more problematic. Could be a possible answer. What can I learn from this? Make better choices next time. Don't trust such people. No. Or maybe there's something about yourself you need to change to keep the people around with you. What should I do next? Be a better person. Take care of your health. Do something else. Be constructive and make better friends. So you could use this for almost any situation. All 3 questions need not be applicable to every situation. So, for example, Jude, I lost my dad during the COVID time. At that time, I cannot ask myself these questions, but I tried. So I said, what's good about this? My dad died, he expired. So what stupid question you're asking yourself, Avinash? I told myself. We talk to ourselves, right? Thank God not allowed. Nothing good about this. This is terrible, huh? Okay, what can I learn from this? So what can I learn from this? What should I have done? COVID time, there were no hospitals. I was running from pillar to post. Maybe I should have done better. I should have had better contacts. What could I have? That tended to move into self-blame, which again is not what we want. So I found that those first 2 questions are not relevant. They didn't work. The third question was, what should I do next? Take care of mom. Take care of the rest of the family. No? That I can't do anything about, the fact that he's gone. But so I'm saying this is practical stuff I'm sharing with you. Not just some, be happy in the clouds kind of thing. So this is one small example, but very powerful example of something you can do. Now, if all of this was too complicated for some of the listeners, let me simplify it. I'm saying go on a positive mental attitude diet for the next couple of weeks. Like we do diet for our body, why don't we do diet for our mind? If we're careful about what people put into our food, why don't we be careful about what people put into our minds? Why do we allow people who are psycho-vampires, is what I call them, to drain the energy out of us? No matter how positive you may keep being, if you're surrounded by people who are going to keep draining you, you should make better choices of who you spend your time with. When you wake up in the morning, don't expose yourself to negativity. If you take in garbage all the time before you sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, if you be vulnerable in front of the wrong kind of people, you're exposing yourself to more and more negativity. So what I'm suggesting here is go on a positive attitude diet and don't allow any negative thought to come into your head for forget 2 weeks. Let's do 1 week. Next 1 week. This is a challenge, guys. If any negative thought comes into your head, just tell that thought, dude, listen, I'm on a diet right now. Can you come back later, please? Just give me 1 week. Okay, and let the thought go away and replace it with a positive thought. Suppose the thought automatically comes, you have 5 seconds to change it. If you forget and you mess up, then your 1 week starts from there. Right? If you do 7 days of only positive thinking, don't allow negative stuff about yourself. I'm terrible, I'm so bad. In the name of humility, we pull ourselves down. Don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for other people. Don't blame anyone. Stop negativity for 7 days. Take charge of your mind. This would be a practical thing to do rather than anything else more fancy.
Right. Let me repeat that to our listeners right now. What's good about this? Then the second question is, what can I learn from this? And what should I do next? Those are those 3 powerful questions, Right. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Avinash. And also going on a positive and a mental diet for our mind will be a great solution.
Now we've got this negativity coming from social media, we've got negativity coming from news, we've got negativity coming from people around us, who mostly
True.
talk negative. We've got our own negative thoughts that we are regurgitating. Now all of this stuff is a recipe for disaster. The mind is like satin for positivity and like Velcro for negativity. This is another learning from MetaMind Alignment. Velcro sticks, so negativity sticks. Somebody does something negative or says something negative, you'll remember it for years. But somebody does something positive, we forget it. It's like satin. It slips away. We need to train our mind to reverse this, to become satin for negativity. Forget it. Let go faster. And to become Velcro for positivity. This requires a little bit of effort. It doesn't happen by just listening to stuff. Minimize your exposure, although it's extremely difficult. I totally understand that, to negativity, by filling in a little more positivity. Choose your music, choose your books, make a list of what makes you happy, see which of those things are in your control, and then see which of those things that are in your control can also help to contribute to other people, or which will make you sustainably happy. Because sometimes smoking a cigarette will make you happy, but it's short term. Long term it will give you harm. Or doing something selfish will make you happy, but long term it will not give you that much fulfillment because it doesn't involve others. So I'm saying we have to start, regardless of how difficult it is, we got to start working towards making our own mind positive first. Not simple, but simple sounding way of doing that is just putting some effort, putting some reflection onto it, and being nice to yourself. You got so many years of practicing how to be negative. It'll take a little time. So we have to train our brain to be happy. And that's our responsibility. Don't wait for someone else to do that.
All right.
And if all else fails, come and attend my course.
One message to our LTTites. One last message to our LTTites, please. What would you like to tell them?
LTTites,
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for listening. Grow, glow, and give. We need to be on the process of continuously growing, reflecting, growing, taking care of ourselves, learning more. That's grow. Glow is we need to take the responsibility to be happy ourselves. Because when we glow, when we are happy, when we are fulfilled, that spreads to others, and that's the give part. There's a lot of research now that confirms the fact that positivity increases productivity. Minimum 31%. So the more positive you are, the more productive you can be, and the more you give, the more you will get. This is a completely different formula for success. Be happy first. That happiness will become the magnet for your success. It will become the fuel for your success. And then you'll enjoy the success journey also. So please prioritize mental health. Please be kind to others. Take care of yourself. And you'll find that the more happy you are, the easier everything will become. And success will also come faster. This will be my message. Grow, glow, give.
Thanks a lot for this wonderful session. You've absolutely enlightened us, truly giving us some great real-life examples and talking to us right here and infusing about what happiness is all about. Thank you once again for joining us on this episode today. Thank you.
I love your questions.